Welcome back to your ultimate pit stop, Piston Pundit. Today we're diving into a diplomatic showdown that's sending shockwaves across North America. Canada has just confirmed Pete Hoekstra faces consequences after what began as a simple anti-tariff ad escalated into the U.S. ambassador's profanity-laced outburst, sparking nationwide outrage. With Doug Ford demanding an apology, President Trump hinting at fresh tariffs, and Prime Minister Mark Carney strengthening alliances abroad, the gears of continental cooperation are grinding in unexpected ways. Let's break down what happened, why it matters, and how this moment is reshaping Canada's political and economic trajectory. Hoekstra's outburst that rocked the capital. The breaking point erupted at the Canadian-American Business Council's prestigious State of the Relationship event, normally a celebration of cooperation between Canada and the U.S. Instead, witnesses say U.S. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra launched into a profanity-filled tirade aimed at Ontario's trade representative, David Patterson. Attendees reported F-bombs, jabs at Doug Ford, and anger over Ontario's anti-tariff ad airing across American networks. The ad, which used Ronald Reagan's 1987 anti-tariff speech, was designed to highlight the real cost of protectionism. But it struck a nerve in Washington. President Trump quickly froze trade talks and threatened an additional 10% tariff on Canadian goods. What made Hoekstra's meltdown so alarming was the venue, a public, high-level diplomatic gathering filled with ministers, foreign diplomats, and industry leaders. Hoekstra was scheduled to speak, but after the outburst, he was quietly removed from the program. For Canadians, this wasn't about one lapse in judgment. It signaled a troubling shift, hostility replacing partnership, volatility replacing diplomacy. The national response was swift and unified: send him home. And that reaction set the stage for the next major voice in this drama, Doug Ford. Ford's unfiltered push for accountability. Ontario Premier Doug Ford delivered the blunt response many Canadians were waiting for. Calling Pete Hoekstra's behavior absolutely unacceptable and unbecoming of an ambassador, Ford's message was straightforward: pick up the phone and apologize. He didn't soften his words or hide behind diplomacy. Instead, he summed up the incident with a classic Canadianism: the cheese slipped off the cracker. Ford acknowledged that tempers flare in politics, even his own, but emphasized that leadership demands maturity, not outbursts. His frustration ran deeper than one incident. For years, Trump's rhetoric has downplayed Canada's importance, even joking it should be America's 51st state. While U.S. tariffs on steel, aluminum, autos, and energy have disrupted the tightly connected North American manufacturing network. Ford reminded everyone of Reagan's warning that tariffs hurt American workers too. Factories across Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania already feel rising costs, with the U.S. losing an estimated 78,000 manufacturing jobs in just 5 months. Ford's push for an apology captured a broader national sentiment. Canada is done tolerating disrespect, and diplomacy must flow both ways. Before we delve deeper, do us a favor and smash that like and subscribe button. This helps us reach more auto enthusiasts just like you. Now that Ford has drawn a line in the sand, let's shift gears to the leader shaping Canada's long-term strategy, Mark Carney. Carney's steady hand in a turbulent moment. While Ford demanded accountability, Prime Minister Mark Carney showed a different leadership style, measured, composed, and internationally strategic. He clarified the ad misunderstanding early, not as a surrender, but as a way to keep discussions open. Yet while Carney acted diplomatically, Washington escalated. Trump publicly stated he wouldn't speak to Carney for a while, even though both attended the APEC summit in South Korea. Photos showed them at the same table, seated apart like two engines idling in different gears. Carney didn't engage in theatrics. Instead, he was busy signing new trade agreements in Asia, strengthening ties with South Korea, Japan, and even reopening channels with China. During a visit to a massive shipyard, Carney toured Canada's future submarines, part of a modernization program exceeding $20 billion. While Washington fumed over a 30-second ad, Carney focused on long-term strategy. diversified trade routes, expanded markets, and lower tariff barriers. For many Canadians, Carney became the counterweight to American volatility, a steady conductor ensuring Canada's economic engine keeps running smoothly. And this naturally leads to the broader transformation unfolding under Carney's leadership: Canada's economic pivot. Canada's strategic pivot away from U.S. reliance. As tensions with Washington intensified, Prime Minister Mark Carney accelerated what analysts call Canada's quiet pivot, a strategic shift away from heavy economic dependence on the United States. For decades, Canada relied on U.S. markets for most of its exports, meaning every tariff spike sent shockwaves through agriculture, energy, mining, and especially the deeply integrated auto sector. Carney is now rewriting that playbook. His plan focuses on doubling non-U.S. exports, expanding Pacific and Atlantic port capacity, and investing heavily in domestic steel, aluminum, and rare earth processing. With only 40% of Canada's steel produced domestically, boosting national production is now essential for job security and supply chain stability. This pivot is already visible abroad. South Korea and Japan have embraced deeper cooperation in defense, energy, and industrial development, while China remains engaged in critical mineral and energy discussions. And speaking of deeper issues, this crisis exposed more than political strategy. It revealed a battle over values. Beyond the outburst, what Hoekstra's behavior reveals. Strip away the shouting, the headlines, and the viral clips, and you find the real issue at the heart of this crisis: values. Diplomacy isn't a demolition derby. It depends on professionalism, steadiness, and respect. Qualities Hoekstra's tirade abandoned entirely. Ambassadors should be connectors, not combatants. When that role collapses, relationships collapse with it. Hoekstra's comments, claiming Canadians aren't passionate about the U.S., downplaying Trump's 51st state joke, and framing criticism as anti-Americanism, revealed a mindset that sees Canada as subordinate. Canadians responded forcefully, "We are not anti-American, we are anti-MAGA." They respect America, its people and partnership, but reject chaos, bullying, and erratic diplomacy. One commentator said Hoekstra's tone felt like the language of an abuser, capturing national outrage. This tirade didn't cause the pivot, but it confirmed why Canada must chart its own course, not out of anger, but out of necessity. And that brings us to the final chapter, the bigger picture shaping Canada's future. The takeaway: a pivotal moment for Canada's path forward. This confrontation wasn't a minor diplomatic hiccup. It marked a defining shift in North American relations. Hoekstra's rant, Trump's tariff threats, and Washington's unpredictability forced Canada to recognize a hard truth: stability can't depend on volatility. Doug Ford demanded accountability. Mark Carney delivered strategy. Canadians demanded respect. And the result? A faster shift toward diversification, self-reliance, and stronger global reach. Canada is no longer waiting for Washington to calm down. It's already reinforcing its industries and widening its economic horizons. As this new era unfolds, the key question remains: will the United States adapt to a more independent Canada or be left behind? Before you head out, share your thoughts. Is Canada's economic pivot the right move? How should Canada respond to future diplomatic flare-ups? What impact will these tensions have on the North American auto sector? Drop your answers below. Your insight fuels this community. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay updated on North American politics, trade, and automotive shifts, don't forget to subscribe to Piston Pundit so you never miss the next update. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. You can now check out any of the videos on the screen. There's plenty more to explore.